The alarm rang through the corridors of the Vanguard with a shrill urgency that made Daniel Wright jump from his bunk. He had been reading reports about the alien ships that appeared at the edge of the solar system 3 days ago. The fleet had come without warning, 7 massive vessels that dwarfed anything humans had built. They called themselves the Moralians. Daniel ran his fingers through his short brown hair and straightened his blue uniform. As the ship's diplomatic specialist, he had been studying the limited communications from the aliens, trying to understand their language and intentions. The Moralians had been clear about one thing. They wanted to meet with humans, but only through a single representative. "Lieutenant Wright to the bridge," the announcement echoed. Daniel grabbed his tablet and hurried through the metal hallways. Crew members moved with purpose, their faces tight with worry. No one knew if the aliens came in peace. Captain Linda Powell looked up when Daniel entered the bridge. Her gray eyes were tired from days of emergency meetings. "Right, good. We've received new instructions from command." Daniel stood at attention. "Yes, Captain?" She handed him a data card. "You've been selected as our representative to meet with the Moralian commander." Daniel felt his heart skip. "Me? But surely there are more senior diplomats. Command believes." "Your background in xenolinguistics makes you the best candidate," Powell said. "Besides, the Moralians specifically requested someone with military training but diplomatic experience. You're the only one on this ship who fits that description." Daniel swallowed hard. First contact with an alien species would go down in history. If he succeeded, it could mean a new era for humanity. If he failed, it might mean war. "The shuttle leaves in 2 hours," Powell continued. "Review all the information we have. From what we can tell, the Moralians are a warrior race. Their communications describe them as conquerors of stars. Be careful, right?" Daniel nodded. "What exactly do they want?" "They're proposing an alliance, but they won't provide details except to their chosen representative." Powell's expression softened slightly. "This isn't an order I give lightly, right? If at any point you feel threatened, we'll extract you." Immediately, back in his quarters, Daniel packed a small bag. He included his translator device, some water, and emergency rations. The information about the Moralians was sparse. Their ships were like nothing humans had seen before, dark purple hulls with strange glowing patterns that seemed to pulse like living things. Their technology was clearly advanced, with energy signatures that human scientists couldn't fully understand. Daniel's hands trembled slightly as he zipped his bag. He hadn't told Powell about his doubts. In the academy, he had excelled at crisis negotiation and alien language theory, but this was real. Whatever happened on that ship would affect the future of Earth. A knock on his door startled him. Sam Kelly, his friend and the ship's pilot, stood in the doorway. "Heard you're meeting the aliens," Sam said with a forced smile. "Lucky you." Daniel laughed nervously. "Not sure if lucky is the word." Sam entered and sat on the bed. "The shuttle's prepped. I'm flying you there myself." "Good. If anyone can get me out of there fast, it's you." Sam nodded, his expression serious. "Look, Daniel, just be smart up there. The brass might talk about peaceful contact, but those ships have weapons like we've never seen. If they wanted to, they could probably wipe out half our fleet before we got a shot off." "Thanks for the pep talk," Daniel said dryly. "Just saying. Keep your eyes open and take this." Sam handed him a small device. "Emergency beacon? Anything goes wrong, press it, and I'll come get you, orders or no orders." The shuttle bay was buzzing with activity when they arrived. Captain Powell was there, along with the ship's security chief and several officers. They gave Daniel final instructions, most of which boiled down to be diplomatic, gather information, and don't make promises. As Daniel boarded the small shuttle, Powell caught his arm. "Remember, you represent all of us now. Earth is counting on you." The journey to the Moralian flagship took 30 minutes. As they approached, Daniel stared out the viewport at the massive alien vessel. It was enormous, at least 3 times the size of Earth's largest ship. The hull seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, making it look like a hole cut into space itself. Only the purple energy lines running across its surface made its shape visible. "That's one big ship," Sam muttered as he navigated toward a small opening that had appeared on the side of the vessel. "Looks like they're letting us in." The shuttle slowed as it entered a vast docking bay. Unlike human ships with their practical utilitarian designs, the Moralian Bay was almost beautiful. The walls curved in strange patterns and lights pulsed along pathways on the floor. "This is where I leave you," Sam said as the shuttle settled onto the deck. "Radio check every 30 minutes. If we don't hear from you, we're coming in." Daniel nodded, his mouth too dry to speak. He checked his translator one last time, then opened the shuttle door. The air in the alien ship smelled different, not unpleasant, but with a hint of something like cinnamon. The gravity felt slightly stronger than Earth normal. Daniel stepped cautiously onto the deck. 3 floating robots, each about the size of a basketball, hovered before him. They had no visible cameras or sensors, just smooth silver surfaces that reflected his nervous face back at him. "I am Lieutenant Daniel Wright, of Earth," he said clearly. "I was sent to meet with your commander." The robots made no sound but began to move away, clearly expecting him to follow. Daniel glanced back at the shuttle where Sam gave him a thumbs up. Taking a deep breath, Daniel followed the robots into the alien ship. The corridors were unlike anything on human vessels. They seemed almost organic, with walls that curved and flowed like frozen liquid. The lighting came from nowhere in particular, yet everything was perfectly visible. They passed several doorways that opened into rooms filled with equipment Daniel couldn't begin to understand. They encountered no crew members, which struck Daniel as strange. For such a large ship, it seemed eerily empty. After several minutes of walking, they reached a large door that slid open silently. "The command center," Daniel whispered to himself, stepping inside, but it wasn't what he expected. Instead of a busy bridge with crew at stations, it was a single, circular room with viewing portals that showed the stars outside. Earth was visible. In one of them, a blue marble hanging in the blackness. The room appeared empty until Daniel noticed a figure standing by the largest viewport. The being was smaller than he had imagined, not much taller than 5 feet. It wore what appeared to be a fitted uniform of dark material with those same purple energy lines running through it. The robot stopped and then retreated, leaving Daniel alone with the figure. "Hello," Daniel said, his heart pounding. "I am Lieutenant Daniel Wright, representing Earth." The figure turned and Daniel felt his breath catch. The Moralian commander was nothing like the fearsome warrior he had expected. Her skin was pale with a slight iridescent quality, almost like mother of pearl. Large, almond-shaped eyes regarded him with an intelligence that made him feel suddenly exposed. Her features were delicate, with no hair but intricate markings on her scalp that glowed faintly with the same purple energy. "I am Commander Zara," she said, her voice translated through Daniel's device with a musical quality. "Leader of the Moralian fleet." She tilted her head, studying him with obvious curiosity. "You are not what I expected, human." Daniel realized with sudden clarity that the feeling was mutual. Daniel stood frozen as Commander Zara stepped closer to him. Each movement she made was graceful and precise. The purple markings on her skin seemed to pulse with her breathing. "You sent a mail," she said, her voice coming through his translator. "With a slight delay. This is unexpected," Daniel swallowed. "Is that a problem?" Zara circled him slowly, her large eyes blinking. In Moralian society, only females serve as commanders and diplomats. Males are our engineers and caregivers. We assumed humans would send a female representative for such an important meeting. On Earth, diplomatic roles are open to anyone with the right skills, Daniel explained, trying to keep his voice steady. "Gender doesn't determine our jobs?" This seemed to interest Zara. She gestured to a table that rose smoothly from the floor. 2 chairs appeared beside it, one clearly designed for human proportions. "Please sit," she said. "I have many questions about your species." Daniel sat cautiously, noting how the chair adjusted to his body. "I have questions too." "Your ships appeared without warning. Many on Earth are frightened." Zara's expression changed subtly. Daniel couldn't read her alien features well, but something like concern passed across her face. Fear was not our intention, she said. We needed to assess your defenses before making contact. The galaxy is not always kind to vulnerable species. Daniel frowned. You were scanning our weapons? Among other things. Your technology is primitive compared to ours, but your social structures are fascinating. You have no unified government, yet you avoid destroying yourselves. Most species at your development stage have either united or perished. Before Daniel could respond, a sharp sound filled the room. Lights along the walls pulsed rapidly. Zara straightened, touching a panel on her wrist. Symbols flashed across it, and her expression hardened. What's happening? Daniel asked, standing up. Proximity alert, Zara replied, moving quickly to a control panel. A ship has entered this system, not human. Her fingers danced over symbols that shifted at her touch. We must leave immediately. Leave? I need to return to my ship first. Daniel said, alarmed. Zara shook her head. No time. She pressed a final symbol. Prepare for jump. The floor beneath Daniel vibrated. The view from the ports changed as stars stretched into lines of light. A sensation like being pressed from all sides made Daniel gasp. When it stopped, the view outside showed unfamiliar stars. What did you do? Daniel demanded. Where are we? Safety protocol. We've jumped to the edge of your solar system. Zara turned to him, her eyes reflecting the starlight. I apologize for the abruptness, but we had no choice. Daniel tried to. Stay calm. I need to contact my ship, let them know I'm safe. Communications will be restored soon. The jump temporarily disrupts our systems. Zara moved to another panel. Your people will be concerned, but this is standard procedure when threats appear. Threats? What threats? Zara hesitated before answering. There are others who follow us. They are the reason we came to your system. She gestured to a screen. Where data flowed, the ship that appeared was a scout. Where one comes, others will follow. Daniel felt cold despite the comfortable temperature. You've brought enemies to Earth? Not intentionally, Zara said quietly. We hope to reach agreement with your people before they found us again. Now we must accelerate our plans. A soft chime sounded, and one of the floating robots entered. The room, it projected an image of a sleek, angular ship unlike the Moralian vessels. The design was aggressive, all sharp edges and visible weapon ports. Draxian Scout, Zara explained. They were scanning your system. When they detected our ships, they fled. They will return with a battle fleet. Daniel's training kicked in. How much time do we have? Days, perhaps. Their main fleet is not as fast as ours. Zara studied him. You are not panicking. This is good. Panicking won't help Earth, Daniel said. Tell me what these Draxians want and why they're following you. Zara was silent for a moment. Come with me. There is something you should see. She led Daniel through corridors that seemed more populated now. Other Moralians moved with purpose, some nodding respectfully to Zara as they passed. Daniel noticed they were all similar in appearance to Zara, though with different patterns of markings. All were about the same height, with the same iridescent skin and large eyes. They entered a new section where the design changed. The walls were warmer in color, with symbols etched into surfaces. Zara stopped at a large circular door. This is our memory chamber, she said. It contains the history of our people. What you see here is shown to very few outsiders. The door opened to reveal a dome-shaped room. As they entered, the lights dimmed and the ceiling transformed into a view of space. A beautiful planet appeared, blue and green with 3 small moons. Morali, Zara said softly, our homeworld. The image shifted, showing cities of graceful architecture nestled in lush landscapes. Moralians moved through gardens and along waterways. It looked peaceful and advanced. Then the view changed dramatically. Dark ships appeared above the planet. Weapons fire rained down. Cities burned. The beautiful world was transformed into a nightmare of destruction. The Draxians came without warning, Zara said, her voice tight. They attacked all our major cities simultaneously. Billions died in the first day. Daniel watched in horror as the attack continued. The image showed Moralians fleeing to ships, carrying what little they could save. Why? Daniel asked. Why did they attack you? Resources, territory, the Draxians expand by conquering. They strip planets of valuable minerals and move on. They see other species as obstacles. Zara's voice had grown cold. We were not a warrior race. We had defenses, but nothing that could stop such an assault. The image shifted to show the 7 Moralian ships fleeing as their planet crumbled behind them. These ships carry all that. Remains of our civilization, Zara said. 40,000 survivors from a population of billions. We've been running for 3 years, searching for a place where we might rebuild. Daniel felt a weight settle on him. And you chose Earth. Your system has uninhabited planets suitable for our needs. Your species is developing, but not yet a major power. We hope to form an alliance. Protection for your world in exchange for a new home for our people. The lights return to normal. The image is fading. Zara faced Daniel directly. Now you understand why the Draxians follow us. We are the last free Moralians. Once we are gone, they will claim our technology and knowledge. Her eyes held his. And then they will look to your world next. Daniel ran a hand through his hair. This is bigger than my authority. I need to speak with Earth's leaders. And you will, once our systems are back online. Zara's expression softened slightly. Until then, you are my guest. I have had quarters prepared for you. As they left the memory chamber, Daniel realized the diplomatic mission had become something much more urgent. He wasn't just meeting aliens anymore. He was caught between refugees and conquerors, with Earth hanging in the balance. Commander, he said as they walked, how long until we can return to Earth? Our junk drive requires time to recharge. Approximately 60 hours. She glanced at him. We will use this time to plan. The Draxians will not wait long once they confirm our presence. Daniel nodded slowly. Then we have work to do. For the first time, Zara's expression changed to something that might have been a smile. Yes, Lieutenant Wright. We certainly do. Daniel woke in the strange bed, momentarily confused by the soft purple light filling his quarters. It took him a few seconds to remember where he was. 3 days had passed since the emergency jump that stranded him on the Moralian flagship. His room was comfortable enough, designed to approximate human needs, but he still felt out of place among the aliens. He sat up and touched the communication panel beside his bed. This is Daniel. Is anyone there? A moment later, a Moralian voice responded. Good morning, Lieutenant Wright. Commander Zara requests your presence in the dining hall when you are ready. Daniel dressed quickly in the clean uniform that had been provided for him. His original clothes had been taken for study, along with his translator, which the Moralians had improved and returned. The new version worked almost instantly now, with fewer errors. The door to his quarters opened automatically, and one of the floating robot guides waited to escort him. Daniel had learned these were called assists, and served as both helpers and security throughout the ship dock as they moved through the corridors. Daniel noticed more Moralians than before. Some nodded to him politely, while others stared with obvious curiosity. He was likely the first human most of them had ever seen. The dining hall was a large, open space with tables of various sizes. Commander Zara sat at a small table near a viewport, working on a tablet-like device. She looked up as Daniel approached. Lieutenant Wright, she greeted him, I trust you slept well? Daniel sat across from her. As well as can be expected, given the circumstances. Any word on when communications with Earth will be restored? Our engineers are still working to boost the signal strength, Zara said. The jump took us farther than planned. We are currently behind one of your gas giants, which interferes with transmissions. A Moralian server brought food to their table. Daniel had been surprised to find that Moralian and human diets were largely compatible, though the flavors were often strange. Today's breakfast looked like a purple porridge with small red fruits. We have made progress analyzing the Draxion. Scout's trajectory, Zara continued as they ate. Their main fleet appears to be 4 days from your solar system. Daniel frowned. Not much time. Have you been able to determine how many ships? At least 20, possibly more. Zara's expression grew serious. They outgun us significantly. In direct combat, we would not survive. Daniel pushed his food around. And Earth's defenses wouldn't fare any better. No, Zara agreed. Your technology is centuries behind the Draxians. They would consider your planet easy prey. They ate in silence for a moment. Daniel studied Zara when she wasn't looking. Despite her alien appearance, he was beginning to read her expressions. The slight furrow above her eyes indicated worry. The way her fingers tapped against the table showed impatience. You said yesterday that you had a plan, Daniel prompted. Zara nodded. A possibility, at least. If we cannot fight the Draxians directly, perhaps we can negotiate. Negotiate? I thought they were bent on conquest. They are, but they are also practical. If the cost of taking a world outweighs the benefit, they sometimes move on. Zara activated her device, showing a map of the solar system. Your outer planets are rich in resources they would value. If we offered them mining rights to these uninhabited worlds, they might leave Earth alone. Daniel considered this. That might work temporarily, but what happens when they've stripped those planets and want more? It would buy time. Years, perhaps. Decades. Time for your people to advance, for our people to rebuild. Zara looked at him intently. In alliance, our knowledge and your world's resources could create defenses that would deter even the Draxians. After breakfast, Zara took Daniel to the ship's central operations room. Unlike the sparse command center, this space buzzed with activity. Dozens of Moralians worked at stations, monitoring systems and analyzing data. Large screens showed various parts of the ship and space around them. This is where we coordinate all ship functions, Zara explained. From here, we can control navigation, defense, life support, and communications. A tall Moralian approached them. Like all the others? She had the iridescent skin and large eyes, but her markings were more elaborate, spreading across her face in complex patterns. Lieutenant Wright, this is Nara, my second in command, Zara said. Nara gave a slight bow. The human, she said, her tone neutral. I have heard much about you. Good things, I hope, Daniel replied with a small smile. Nara has concerns about sharing too much with Earth, Zara said directly. Many of my crew do. Daniel wasn't surprised. That's understandable. We're strangers to each other. More than that, Nara said. We studied your history before making contact. Your people often fight among themselves. How can we trust you won't use our technology against each other? Or against us once the Draxian threat is gone? It was a fair question. Earth nations had a long history of turning new technologies into weapons. I can't promise what every human would do, Daniel said honestly, but I know most of us want peace. The threat we face now is bigger than our differences. Nara didn't look convinced, but Zara intervened. We will continue this discussion later. For now, we must focus on making contact with Earth. An alarm suddenly blared throughout the room. Screens flashed with warning symbols as Moralians rushed to their stations. What's happening? Daniel asked. Zara moved quickly to a central console. Unknown energy signature detected. Possible Draxian probe. The main screen showed a small object moving toward their position. It was barely visible. Just a dark speck against the backdrop of the gas giant. Stealth technology? Nara said grimly. They're searching for us. Can they detect us? Daniel asked. Not yet. Our shields absorb most scans. Zara turned to an engineer. Status of the engines? Still recharging, Commander. We cannot jump again for at least 20 hours. Zara made a quick decision. Power. Down all non-essential systems, minimal life support only. We will hide in the planet's magnetic field. The lights dimmed throughout the ship. The temperature began to drop as heating systems shut down. Daniel shivered slightly. Will this work? He whispered to Zara. If we're fortunate, she replied. The probe is not designed for close planetary scanning. They watched in tense silence as the probe moved past their position. For several minutes no one spoke. Daniel could see his breath forming small clouds. In the increasingly cold air, finally the probe changed course, moving away from the planet. It didn't detect us, Nara confirmed, checking her readings. Zara nodded. Restore minimal power. Keep monitoring for additional probes. As systems came back online and the temperature slowly rose, Daniel felt a wave of dizziness wash over him. He gripped the edge of a console to steady himself. Zara noticed immediately. Lieutenant Wright, are you unwell? Just a little lightheaded, he said, but even as the words left his mouth, the room began to spin. His legs gave way beneath him. Daniel woke in what appeared to be a medical bay. The lighting was dim, and strange equipment surrounded his bed. Zara sat nearby, studying a display showing what he assumed were his vital signs. What happened? He asked, his voice hoarse. Zara looked up. Your body reacted badly to the reduced oxygen levels during our hiding maneuver. Human physiology is more sensitive than we realized. Daniel tried to sit up but felt too weak. How long was I out? 6 hours. Our medical team has been studying your biology. Zara moved closer. You have a fever. Your immune system is fighting something in our environment. Daniel could feel it now, the heat in his skin, the ache in his joints. Great timing, he muttered. Unexpectedly, Zara placed a cool hand on his forehead. The sensation was oddly comforting. Rest, she said. I will stay with you. Don't you have a ship to run? Daniel asked. Nara is capable. And you are important to our mission. Zara's expression softened. Your survival matters, Daniel Wright. As he drifted back to sleep, Daniel realized it was the first time she had used his first name. Somehow, in this strange place so far from home, that small gesture of familiarity meant more than he could express. Daniel felt much better after 2 days of rest in the medical bay. The Moralian doctors had created a treatment that helped his body adjust to the ship's environment. His fever broke during the night, and by morning he was able to stand without dizziness. He found his uniform cleaned and folded beside his bed. Along with his improved translator. As he dressed, Commander Zara entered the medical bay. She looked tired, with darker patches under her large eyes, but she smiled when she saw him up. Your recovery pleases me, she said. I was concerned. Thanks to your medical team, Daniel replied. They work wonders, Zara nodded. We have good news. Communications have been restored. We sent a message to your Vanguard explaining your situation. They responded an hour ago. Daniel felt a wave of relief. What did they say? Your Captain Powell is not happy about the circumstances, but she understands the danger. Earth's leaders have been informed about the Draxians. Zara handed him a small device. You can review the full communication here. Daniel quickly read through the message. Earth was mobilizing its defenses, though both he and Captain Powell knew they would be insufficient against the Draxian fleet. A diplomatic team was standing by for negotiations with the Moralians once they returned to Earth orbit. This is good, Daniel said, looking up from the device. When can we head back? We are preparing to move now. Our engines are fully recharged. Zara hesitated before continuing. But there is a complication. We have detected 3 Draxian warships entering your solar system. They arrived sooner than expected. Daniel frowned. How? You said their main fleet was days away. These appear to be advanced scouts with enhanced drives. The main fleet is still coming, but these ships will reach Earth before we can return. Zara's expression was grim. They will likely begin scanning your planet for weaknesses. Then we need to hurry, Daniel said, moving toward the door. Zara nodded. Come to the bridge. We are about to depart. The command center was fully staffed now. Nara stood at a central console, directing preparations for their return journey. She acknowledged Daniel with a slight nod as he entered with Zara. Status report, Zara demanded. Engines ready, Commander. Jump plotted to Earth orbit. Nara touched several controls. We should arrive before the Draxian scouts, but not by much. Proceed. Zara ordered. Daniel braced himself as the jump sequence began. The stars outside the viewport stretched into lines of light, and he felt the now familiar pressure of the jump. It lasted only a few seconds before the normal view of space returned. Earth was visible in the distance, a blue sphere that made Daniel's chest tighten with emotion. "We've arrived in Earth orbit," Mara announced, "but we have company." The main screen showed two Draxian ships already in position near Earth's moon. They were sleek, predatory vessels with sharp angles and visible weapon ports. As Daniel watched, the ships changed course, heading directly toward the Moralian flagship. "They've spotted us," Zara said calmly. "Battle stations." Alarms sounded. Throughout the ship, crew members moved with practiced efficiency to their positions. Zara stepped onto a raised platform in the center of the bridge, where control panels lit up around her. "Lieutenant Wright," she said without looking away from her displays, "contact your ship. Tell them to stay clear of the engagement." Daniel used his communication device to send an urgent message to the Vanguard. Captain Powell responded immediately, confirming that Earth's ships were moving to defensive positions but would avoid the immediate battle zone. "Draxian vessels are charging weapons," Nara reported. "They're hailing us." "Open the channel," Zara ordered. A harsh voice filled the bridge, speaking in a language Daniel's translator couldn't fully process. The tone was clearly threatening. "Zara?" responded in the same language, her voice firm and commanding. The exchange was brief and ended with an angry burst of sound from the Draxian side. "What did they say?" Daniel asked. "They demand our surrender," Zara replied. "They claim this system is now under Draxian control and all inhabitants must submit or be eliminated. I informed them that we reject their claim and will defend this world." "Weapons locked on our position," Nara warned. "Impact in 5 seconds." "Evasive." "Maneuvers," Zara commanded. "Shields at maximum." The ship lurched as it changed course. Daniel grabbed a railing to steady himself. A moment later, the vessel shuddered as Draxian weapons fire struck their shields. "Shield strength at 80%, an officer reported. "Minor damage to outer hull." Zara's fingers danced over her controls. "Return fire. Target their weapon. Systems only." The Moralian ship responded with beams of intense purple energy that sliced through space toward the Draxian vessels. One beam connected with the lead ship, causing a small explosion along its side. "Direct hit," Nara confirmed. "Their forward weapons are damaged." The battle continued with both sides exchanging fire. The Moralian ship was more agile, but the Draxians had superior firepower. As the minutes passed, Daniel could feel the increasing strain on the Moralian vessel as each impact weakened their shields. "Shield strength at 40%, the officer reported after a particularly heavy barrage. "We cannot sustain this level of damage for long." Zara remained calm, adjusting tactics as the situation evolved. Daniel watched her with growing admiration. She wasn't just a diplomat or administrator. She was a brilliant tactician. Anticipating the Draxians' moves and countering them, a massive explosion rocked the ship, throwing Daniel to the floor. Emergency lights flashed as smoke filled part of the bridge. "Hull breach in Section 7. Nara shouted over the alarms. "Emergency force fields activated. Casualties?" Zara demanded. Nara checked her display. "Unknown? That section contains civilian quarters. Civilian?" Daniel asked, pulling himself up. "I thought this was a military vessel." Zara turned to him, her expression tight with worry. "It is both. We carry our people, Daniel, families, children, the last of our kind." Without hesitation, Daniel moved toward the exit. "I'm going to help." "Lieutenant." "Right, this is not your fight," Zara called after him. "Yes, it is," he replied without stopping. "Where's Section 7? One of the robot assists moved to guide him. Daniel followed it through corridors now filled with Moralians rushing to emergency stations. The ship shook again as another hit landed, but the shields held. When they reached Section 7, Daniel saw the damage. A portion of the hull had been breached, though emergency force fields contained the atmosphere. Several Moralians lay injured while others worked to evacuate the area. Among them, Daniel spotted smaller figures, Moralian children being guided by adults. Daniel rushed to help a fallen Moralian who was struggling to stand. Supporting the alien's weight, he helped them move toward the evacuation route. Then he returned for another, and another. His military training took over as he organized the civilians into groups and directed them to safety. He was helping a small Moralian child when another explosion rocked the ship. The force field flickered dangerously. Without thinking, Daniel scooped up the child and ran for the secure corridor, barely making it through before the field failed completely. As he set the child down safely, he turned to see Commander Zara rushing toward him, concern evident on her face. "Daniel, are you injured?" she asked, scanning him quickly. "I'm fine," he assured her. "How's the battle going?" "We've damaged one Draxian ship severely. It's retreating." Zara looked at the Moralian child who was still clinging to Daniel's leg. "You saved many of our people." Before Daniel could respond, another alarm sounded. "Commander!" Nara's voice came through the communication system. "The third Draxian ship has arrived? They're deploying boarding vessels?" Zara's expression hardened. "They're trying to capture our ship." She turned to Daniel. "Get to a secure area. These soldiers will show no mercy." "I'm not hiding," Daniel said firmly. "Give me a weapon. I'll fight with you." Zara hesitated only briefly before nodding to one of her security officers. The officer handed Daniel a small device that expanded into something resembling a pistol. "Energy pulse weapon," Zara explained quickly. "Point and press. It will neutralize Draxian armor." They moved quickly through the ship, gathering defenders as they went. When they reached a large junction of corridors, Zara positioned her people strategically. "They'll come through there," she said, pointing to a heavy door at the end of the main corridor. "We hold this position at all costs. If they reach the ship's core, they can disable our engines." Daniel took position beside Zara, weapon ready. He could hear banging sounds as the Draxians attempted to breach the door. "I never expected to be in a firefight when I took this diplomatic mission," he said with a grim smile. Zara glanced at him. "You are an unusual diplomat, Daniel, right? And you're an unusual commander," he replied. I'm glad to be fighting alongside you." The door at the end of the corridor began to glow red as the Draxians cut through it. Zara raised her weapon. "For Morali," she said quietly, "and for Earth." The door burst open, and the battle began. The battle lasted for hours. Daniel fought beside Zara and her crew, holding back the Draxian boarders from the critical areas of the ship. His military training proved valuable as he helped coordinate defenses at key junctions. The Draxians were fierce fighters, tall and heavily armored with weapons Daniel had never seen before. Their faces remained hidden behind dark helmets, making them seem more like machines than living beings. When the last Draxian boarding party was finally repelled, Daniel slumped against a wall, exhausted. His arm had been grazed by an energy weapon, leaving a painful burn, but he was otherwise unharmed. Zara approached him, looking equally tired but with a determined set to her shoulders. "You fought well," she said, offering him a small medical device that instantly cooled his burn when applied. "Few would stand against the Draxians so bravely. What's the status of the ship?" Daniel asked, wincing as the medicine did its work. "Damaged, but operational. The Draxian vessels have withdrawn for now." Zara sat beside him on the floor, a surprisingly informal gesture for a commander. "They will return with reinforcements," Daniel nodded. "How long do we have?" "A day, perhaps 2. Zara turned to look at him directly. "Your Earth ships performed admirably during the battle. They engaged the third Draxian vessel when it attempted to flank us. Without their assistance, we might have been overwhelmed." "Captain Powell doesn't abandon her people," Daniel said with a small smile, "even when they're stuck on alien ships." "We have received a communication from your Earth leaders," Zara continued. "They wish to meet immediately to discuss the Draxian threat and our proposal for alliance." Daniel felt a surge of hope. "That's good news. When can we go?" "As soon as you are ready," Zara replied. "I have prepared a shuttle." "You will return to Earth as our official envoy," Daniel frowned. "Me? But what about you?" "I must remain with my ship. We are still making repairs, and I cannot leave my people vulnerable." Zara handed him a small data device. This contains all our technical information, defensive capabilities, and knowledge of the Draxians. It also includes our proposal for settlement. Daniel took the device, feeling its weight in his hand. They'll want to meet with you personally. In time, perhaps. For now, you understand us better than any human. You have seen our people, fought alongside us. Zara's expression softened. You have earned my trust, Daniel Wright. I believe you can speak for us. 3 hours later, Daniel sat in a conference room at Earth's United Space Command headquarters. Around the table were military leaders, government, officials, and scientists, all staring at him with varying degrees of skepticism and curiosity. Captain Powell stood near the door, arms crossed but with a proud look on her face. General Alan Morris, head of Earth's Defense Forces, leaned forward. Lieutenant Wright, you've spent nearly 10 days aboard an alien vessel. Your report says these Moralians want to settle in our solar system in exchange for technological assistance. How do we know this isn't just the first step in their own invasion plan? Daniel had expected this question. Sir, I've seen their people. They're refugees, not conquerors. Their ship carries families, children, the last survivors of their civilization. They could have easily overcome our defenses if domination was their goal, but instead, they fought to protect Earth from the Draxians. And these Draxians? A woman in a business suit asked. You believe they pose an immediate threat? I've seen them in action, Daniel replied firmly. They're advanced, aggressive, and determined. The attack yesterday was just a scouting force. Their main fleet will arrive within days, and when it does, neither Earth's defenses nor the damaged Moralian ships will be able to stop them alone. He activated the data device Zara had given him, projecting images and specifications onto the room's main screen. This is what we're facing. The Draxians have conquered dozens of worlds. Their technology is centuries beyond ours. But together with the Moralians, we have a chance. For the next 2 hours, Daniel presented everything he had learned. He showed them footage from the memory chamber, images of Morali before its destruction, and detailed plans for how Moralian technology could be integrated with Earth's defenses. He described the Moralian proposal to settle on Mars, which their scientists believed could be terraformed using their advanced environmental systems. They don't want Earth, Daniel emphasized. They need a home where they can rebuild. In return, they'll share knowledge that would take us generations to develop on our own. As the meeting continued, Daniel could see opinions shifting. The initial suspicion was giving way to cautious interest, especially among the scientists, who were clearly excited by the technological possibilities. Finally, General Morris spoke again. Your argument is compelling, Lieutenant, but I need to hear this directly from their leadership. Can you arrange a meeting with this Commander Zara? She's busy with repairs to their ship, Daniel explained. The Draxians did significant damage during the attack. Then we'll go to her, the general decided. I want to see these Moralians for myself before I recommend any alliance to the World Council. Daniel felt a surge of hope. I'll contact her immediately. To his surprise, the general added, and Lieutenant Wright, well done. Your actions during this crisis have been exemplary. The next day, a small delegation from Earth boarded a shuttle to the Moralian flagship. General Morris led the group, which included 2 scientists, a diplomat, and Daniel. As they approached the massive alien vessel, Daniel could see repair crews working on the hull damage from the battle. It's even bigger than I imagined, one of the scientists whispered. Staring out the VIEWPORT dock, when they docked and the airlock opened, Daniel expected to see the usual robot assists waiting to guide them. Instead, Commander Zara herself stood there, flanked by Nara and 2 other Moralian officers. It was unprecedented for a commander to greet visitors personally, a fact that clearly wasn't lost on General Morris. Welcome to our ship, Zara said, her translator converting her words perfectly. I am Commander Zara of the Moralian fleet. General Morris stepped forward. General Alan Morris, Earth Defense Force, thank you for receiving us, Commander. As the introductions continued, Daniel noticed something different about Zara. She had changed her uniform to a more ceremonial version, with intricate patterns that Daniel now recognized as symbols of her rank and lineage. She had made an effort to honor this meeting, to show respect for the Earth delegation. The tour of the ship was comprehensive. Zara showed them the command center, the engineering section, and even parts of the civilian quarters. She answered questions directly and honestly, hiding nothing. When one of the scientists asked about weapon systems, Zara provided detailed specifications without hesitation. "We have no secrets from our potential allies," she said simply. The meeting culminated in a formal discussion in a conference room, similar to the one on Earth. As Zara outlined the Moralian proposal, Daniel watched the faces of the Earth delegates. The initial wariness had given way to genuine interest, even excitement. "Your offer is generous," General Morris said when Zara finished, "but the decision must come from our World Council. They will want assurances." "What assurances would satisfy them?" Zara asked. The general considered this. "A demonstration of good faith. Something tangible to show your commitment to this alliance." Zara was quiet for a moment, then she stood. "I will come to Earth," she announced. "No Moralian commander has ever set foot on another species' world. It is against our protocols for security reasons. But I will break this tradition to show our commitment." The statement caused a stir among the Moralian officers. Nera looked particularly concerned, whispering urgently to Zara, who simply raised a hand to silence the objections. "Lieutenant Wright has risked his life for my people," Zara continued. "I can do no less for his." 3 days later, Daniel stood in the Grand Hall of the World Council as Zara addressed the assembled leaders of Earth. Her presence had caused a sensation. The first confirmed alien to walk on Earth soil, she had become an instant global celebrity. Security was tight, with fears of both Draxion infiltrators and human extremists who opposed any alien contact. "People of Earth," Zara began, her voice calm and clear. "We come not as conquerors, but as refugees seeking a new home. We offer friendship and knowledge in exchange for your help. Together, we can defend both our peoples from those who would destroy us." As she spoke, Daniel felt a surge of pride. This was what he had worked for since that first meeting in the Moralian Command Center. Two species, vastly different, but finding common ground in the face of a shared threat. When the vote came, it was overwhelmingly in favor of the alliance. Earth would help the Moralians establish a colony on Mars, and in return, the Moralians would share their technology to help defend the solar system from the approaching Draxion fleet. After the ceremony, Daniel found Zara standing alone at a window, looking out at the Earth sunset. She turned as he approached. "Your world is beautiful," she said quietly. "Soon you'll have a new world of your own," Daniel replied. "The Mars terraforming project is already being planned." Zara nodded. "And you? What will you do now, Daniel Wright?" "Return to your ship?" "Actually," Daniel said with a smile, "I've been offered a new position. Earth's first ambassador to the Moralian colony.